Hello everybody, welcome back to another Adobe Photoshop CC 2021 tutorial. This one, I'm going to show you how to create sun rays out of nothing. I'll show you here. I've made a whole bunch of changes. I'm going to turn them off. This is what the original picture looks like, and now this picture with all of the layers turned on have some sun rays coming in, and it has that nice look, organic feel. So I'm going to go ahead and show you step by step how I did it. So the first step here, I'm just going to delete all of these layers. And I'm going to delete them. I'll even delete the copy, so we're starting at step one. Step one, you want to bring in the image that you're going to be working on. This is a darker image. It's not particularly well lit, and that's I've selected it purposefully because it helps you show the technique a little better. The second step I like to do is I take the image and I drag and drop it on this plus sign at the bottom right, and that creates a duplicate image. I'm going to turn the bottom image off, although that's not necessary, but I just like to do that. Anyway, now the next step is you want to go ahead and actually, you know what, we're going to darken this image a little bit because I want to show you the high contrast between the sunlight and the image. So we're going to pretend this is a darker shot. So I'm going to go down here to the middle here. I'm going to create a new fill or adjustment layer, and I'm going to go to, let's go with brightness contrast, pardon me. And I'm going to go ahead and drop the brightness down just a little. I'm going to go to -40 and leave it there. Excellent. Okay, now let's go ahead and making sure we're selecting the layer. We're going to go ahead and draw on a sunlight ray. So let's draw a ray on. Now there's a couple ways to do it. One, you can use a lasso tool. And two, you can use the pen tool if you want to be very, very precise. I'm just going to go ahead and do it with the lasso, but if you guys want to go really, really exact, you can go ahead and use the pen. Now, for me, I want the sun to be kind of coming in from the top left here, and it's going to highlight like the top of her forehead and a little bit of her cheek and stuff like that. So I'm just going to draw it a little organically like this. It's not going to be perfect, and because I'm going to be using feathering, it doesn't have to look great. It just has to look pretty good. And it's going to come down here and get around her arms. And now this is where the sun, maybe it comes out like this and it loops in a bit, and it loops in a bit more, and then loops in and then out. And boom. Okay, it doesn't really matter. I've got a selection. I want to show you the technique is really what matters. Okay, perfect. Where shall we go next? Now, the next step is we're going to go ahead and go down here. And we're going to go to create new fill or adjustment layer, left click on that, and we're actually going to go now to the curves option. Left click on curves, and you're going to see this here, and nothing has happened yet because we haven't adjusted the curve. Let's go ahead and take the curve to the left up here. Now you're going to see that it's getting brighter, and obviously this doesn't look right because it looks very, very high contrast, and it's quite jarring. And I'm going to go ahead and brighten it quite a bit, again, to show you the technique. You can always change this whatever way you see fit, but this is the way that I'm going to do it. So we've got a nice bright looking sun ray here, although it's not quite as symmetric as I might like, but that's okay. It's still pretty good. Now, I've gone ahead and adjusted it here, so you'll see here that I've taken on the RGB in curves. Under the RGB, I've moved the RGB. I've moved this to about a third of the way in, and I've added another point here, and it's up and to the left. So again, we've made it a bit brighter. The next step, if you're following along, is you want to click on the masks option, left click on this, and now it's going to give you the option to use density and a few other things. The one that we really want to be careful about here is we want to up the feather and feather it quite a bit. Can take a few seconds for it to register the effect. So I'm just going to move it up to about 43, 50. You know what? Let's go really high. So this is looking pretty organic to me, just around about 100. Let's see what it looks like a little higher. Okay, yeah, 100, somewhere around, yeah, let's go with 85-ish. That looks pretty good, okay? So I've gone ahead and done that. I'm going to now go back here. I'm going to go back to the curve, and I'm going to actually make it a little brighter. We've got a little more room. So I'm going to increase the brightness, and yeah, let's bring that to the left a little bit. And presto, we've got now a sun ray coming in. It's not perfect, but it's pretty darn good. Okay, so I'm going to left click and I'm going to close that up. And now we've got a sun ray coming in. We've got this yellowish here that we probably want to get rid of. But we'll do that in a second. The next step, click on this curves here. So you'll see the curves adjustment layer. What I'm going to do is I'm going to drag and drop it on the plus sign again. And what it does is it doubles up, obviously. It drops a second copy. So this one here, now I'm going to go back to the left side and I'm going to go to my move tool and I'm going to move it down. Watch what I do here. This is like a second thing coming through the blinds, for example. Now I'm going to transform this because I don't think it's quite right. But I'm going to move it down to about here. And boom, now we've got a bright coming through the blinds up at the top here, and we got another light or a sun ray coming through the middle side. Now I'm going to go ahead and hit, making sure I'm selected on this one here, I'm going to hit Command T, and what this does is it allows me to transform the size of it. So this one I'm going to think is a little bit smaller, so I'm going to just decrease the size of this one here, and I'm going to move it to about there. And now I'm going to move it up, and it's going to come across on, let's say, her hand. And yeah, I want to have a gap between them. So there we go. We've got two coming through. We've got the original ray coming through here, and then we've got a second one kind of lighting up her arm or hand here. Although I don't think that's in the right spot. Let's go ahead and increase the size of it so it looks a little bit better, because I want to show it over on her sweater as well. So there we go. Now we've got two sun rays coming in. Let's go ahead and look at this. So this is the regular, this is the reduced contrast, this is bright. Let's go ahead and look at the second one, pardon me. This looks pretty good. Now, if you want to, I'm gonna go ahead and I'm gonna go to click on the mask here, or on the curve, pardon me. I'm gonna take out my brush, and I'm gonna brush out some of this black part over here, because it just doesn't look quite right. But you know what, depending on the look that you're going for. So I'm gonna brush, I've got it set to gray, but I don't. Let's go ahead and set it to black and see what happens. All right, I'm brushing out, and I got to increase the size of my brush here, pardon me. I'm going to brush out the black part over here. As you can see, it's no longer, you don't see the yellow part coming through. You only see the ray on the hands here. And I can do the same for the top one here, so I'm going to make sure that the foreground color is black, just like the last one. I've got my brush tool selected, and I'm going to go ahead and just take out some of this dark here. So it's not completely out, but basically I just want the streak to go across her face, to go across her arm here and her sweater, and that is how you do it. Now I can go ahead and make a few more changes if you want to go further down the rabbit hole. You can go ahead and adjust and make a color adjustment. Let's go ahead and just do that for the hell of it. Okay, so I'm going to go back down here to adjustment layer, and I'm going to go ahead to, we're going to go to color balance. Yeah, let's go with color balance. Left click on color balance. And now I'm going to work on the midtones, and I'm going to increase the red a little. Now, why would I increase the red just a little bit? The reason why is because when you look at skin, if you really look at it, when the light is shining on it, you can see a little bit of the blood underneath it. You get that reddish tone to it. So I've just gone ahead and added in some red tones. Again, this is just more of a color correction thing. You don't have to do this, but it just looks a little bit more believable. But that's how you create sun rays out of nothing in just a few minutes there inside Photoshop. Thanks for watching this tutorial. I have a ton more stuff coming up. Stay tuned.